Welcome back to LatiNation. I'm your host, Humberto Guida. Now, up next, we catch up with a mixed martial arts legend. He was one of the first Latino champions in the UFC. He is Frank Shamrock. Born Frank Alisio Juarez, the mixed martial artist made a name for himself when the sport was still seen as barbaric by most people. But after a stellar career as a professional fighter, Frank has turned his attention to his career as a media personality, motivational speaker, and a leading advocate for the use of medical cannabis among athletes as an alternative to painkillers and other harmful medication. It's his new fight and one he brings right here to LatiNation.
En Acción, brought to you by the U.S. Army. Find out more at GoArmy.com.
Welcome to the Bakeout. Since the big game is Sunday, we've decided to have a little fun the Bakeout way. My name is Frank Shamrock, and I am a television host, a social activist, and a serial entrepreneur. Well, I started first training when I was 22 years old, and my dad told me to get my life together, took me to the martial arts dojo and dropped me off. And then I had a very successful and very long career, which lasted 16 years. During that time, I was the first UFC middleweight champion and the first Strikeforce champion, first many champions, and I set multiple records. But what I'm most proud of was I was the first ever complete mixed martial arts athlete. So I was the first guy to have a complete fighting style that would be sort of the prototype of the sport today. I realized that I could make a career out of mixed martial arts and martial arts professionally after about 6 months of training, like very focused training. Because after about 6 months, I choked like one of our pro fighters, like a guy who was making money fighting. I made him give up. And that was the first time where I was like, whoa, 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 it's like it works. I was so in the zone, I was so deep, you know, in my studies and in my belief in myself, and the sport hadn't evolved. I was finding all the cracks, and I was just smashing everybody.
Pulled me out of my game as it came out.
All right, Frank, doctor's gonna check you out real quick here.
You come out in orthodox stance.
How am I looking? Ooh,
It went down a lot, man.
good Lord.
I started using cannabis medically when I was about 26, 27, just because the pain of sports and athleticism had really become too much. So the aspirins and the general stuff that I was trying weren't really doing it anymore, and I was consuming cannabis recreationally. But I was learning at the time that it had strong medicinal effects, and I started examining it at the time. Yes, I think more athletes are coming out because they're just finding it to be a better alternative for medicine, both in pain, stress, in dietary issues, like if you're having trouble eating, it's a great appetite stimulant. You know, we're seeing the science come out about cannabis as a neuroprotectant. We're seeing what it can do to stop pain. And these athletes in particular in the combative sports need this type of medicine. When you're a professional athlete and you get to a pain level that is in a professional athlete field, the pain is really immense, and the only real remedy is prescription drugs that they offer. And those are opiates, those are you know, heavily addictive pharmaceutical painkillers that sadly they're very addictive. What most people don't realize is, you know, we're not smoking a bunch of cannabis and then going out and playing. It's really a strategic consumption of it to deal with the ailment. And most of the times when I consume cannabis, I'm not getting high, or I'm not getting in a state where my mind has changed. I'm just consuming a level of plant that will stop the pain.
You know, I'd be in pain, I'd take some pills, and I'd really feel worse. Or I could be in pain, smoke some weed, and get out of pain.
And that's what the cannabis plant is offering people. It's a way that's not addictive, that doesn't destroy you, but it allows you to heal yourself at the same time. The Bakeout Show is all about cannabis, and we're talking all about everything that's medicinal about it. The news, the good, the bad, the politics, the sex, the money, like everything that is attached to this plant. We have cancer patients, we have celebrities, lawyers, we have everybody that this plant touches. And that's something the American people are just coming to grips with.